Coach, you've worked with Coleman for the past 6 years, right? Has he always been your guy?
For the most part, you know, we do some switching here and there, but yeah, I'd say consistently.
So over the past 6 years, you know, talk about what it's been like to watch Marcus not only physically, you know, transform himself into just this beast, but, you know, watching him, you know, mentally hone in the way he has.
Just in all aspects, he's grown tremendously. Even coming in from a young high school kid, you know, technically could hardly hit his knee. You know, he came off a knee surgery, and the dude couldn't even hit a sweep single, and now he could go rip them off like crazy. So technically, and he's came a long ways, especially on his feet, but he's always kind of had the slippery funk, and he's kind of dialed that in a little bit. But, you know, his top game, you know, some help from Willie Miklas, I think, has helped. Also, that claw series, he's gotten really good at turning guys, obviously, especially the last 2 years. But just as a person, too, and as a leader on our team, you know, he's always led by example. He's always been a super disciplined kid, but especially as of the last 2 years, he's really stepped up vocally. You know, him and David Carr, I would say, are the true two leaders, both you know, by example and by vocally also.
Did you get a chance to talk to him yesterday after that quarterfinals loss?
Oh yeah, you always, you know, at this point in the game, you know, you make a few tweaks here and there between rounds, and you know, you keep the mojo high, and you want him to bounce back well, and he's always done that. You know, he's always been good at shaking off the losses, or, you know, the slip ups, and, you know, moving forward. So he's always had that trait, and, you know, if you want to do well in this tournament, you got to be able to do that really, really well.
So you say that because Marcus said he's a big loser. So I'm bad at losing. I'm a big baby about it.
You know, he hides everything really well. But, you know, the way he always has bounced back, you can't say that. You know, you have that perception of yourself maybe, but honestly, the results speak for themselves. So,
you know, you obviously started your coaching, you know, at Iowa State when Marcus came in. You know, what has it been like for you as a coach, really coming into a program that's rebuilding this way, and to see, you know, now these things come to fruition 6 years later for him?
You know, he's the only guy from that first class when we stepped in here that made it the full 6 years with us, or stuck it out, however you want to look at it, you know. I think that's a true testament to Marcus and his personality and what kind of a athlete and, you know, just competitor he is. He had to, you know, kind of absorb a totally different coaching style, maybe a different way to approach the sport. And, you know, he stuck with it, and he had his ups and downs. He had his lumps with that, and he stuck it through. And, you know, he took advantage of that 6th year, and obviously it's paid off. He's done better, you know, regardless of how he does today. He's done better than he did last year already.
Heading into today, I know, you know, you're kind of at the end. You know, what happens. Like you said, there's not much to change. You know, how have you seen Marcus's overall, I guess, maturity, or just his mindset as he prepares for, you know, this is it? Well,
it helps, you know, when you've been there, multiple times. So there's probably a level of comfortability there to a certain extent. But, you know, the older you get, the more you kind of got to let your hair down and just let it fly. And he's done that to a certain extent. You know, a couple spots maybe here and there, he tensed up a little bit. But when the stakes are high, that tends to happen. And now today is, you know, the only message I really have for him, and he knows this, is you just got to let it fly. You know, open up and let it fly. Whatever, you know, the dust settles, that's where it ends up. So,
in your words, what has Marcus Holman meant to this program?
Oh man, I don't even know if I could put that into words. Just you know, like I said, with him, you know, leading by example, and he's done a great job of putting some of those younger guys under his wing. Just trying to help them lifestyle, and especially in the room. I mean, when you have essentially like an extension of us coaches, you know, to put their arm around those young guys, it helps programs, you know, make leaps and bounds. And he's a guy that's done that for this program. So I can't say enough good things about the guy.
you know, looking back, Marcus, like you said, he led by example. He's usually pretty quiet. Like you said, he does not tend to show his emotions very much. When did you notice that he kind of realized he, you know, should be leading a little more vocally?
You know, we kind of had that conversation after his second, third year, and you know, he was probably, well, he was one of the guys that was starting to have a lot more success, and was, you know, just the results he was having. He was, you know, you get put into that leadership role whether you want to or not, and you know, I was speaking from my own experience. You know, I didn't really have much to say when I was younger, especially, and you know, you kind of gotta, you know, I'm a true believer in you lead by example, and then you can do it vocally. And I kind of had that conversation with him, and he embraced it, and, you know, he went full charge with it. And like I said, he's helped a lot of young guys make huge leaps and bounds.
Is it fun? I don't know if fun's the right word, but is it fun for you to coach someone like Coleman who kind of resembles you in those personality traits?
Yeah, because I guess you kind of maybe know where they're coming from, or, you know, what they're about a little bit, per se, when you have a lot of maybe similar personality traits. So you kind of know when to, you know, jab them, and you know when to pull back. So, and that's coaching, probably the biggest part of coaching is knowing when to push and when to pull back. So, yeah, I think that's probably where a lot of his growth probably come, is just that relationship, and, you know, knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, you know.
If you had to tell me your favorite memory or moment with Coleman that is not him winning a match.
Not him winning a match. Well, wrestling related for sure is probably when we first brought in Younger, and Marcus was up at 197, and Marcus was kind of dinged up. You know, this isn't one maybe exact moment, but maybe like a time frame of like a month in there, maybe 2 months even, where Marcus was struggling with, you know, he's dinged up, and maybe was in kind of a slump, and Younger came in, and, you know, we have this young stud, you know, foreign stud comes in, and, you know, is kind of trying to make a name for himself also, and they kind of wrestled off initially, and Marcus really was struggling in the room against him, and then we had that wrestle off towards the end of the year there, and obviously Marcus ended up beating him. But just watching him, you know, work through that struggle, and then ultimately sticking out and doing the things, the little changes here and there to help, you know, make those leaps and bounds to, you know, I think he came to the national tournament that year. Obviously, he probably wasn't at the weight class he needed to be at, but, you know, he went and rattled off, and I think he had like 6, 7, 8 pins in that postseason. So that was just that, watching that growth and that transition was probably my favorite moment of Marcus Holman watching him.
What if you had to think of something non-wrestling related?
Non-wrestling related. Oh, shoot. You know, him, Marcus, and like my brother and Jarrett Dagan, they were all pretty close. So, you know, just watching those guys be goofballs all the damn time, you know, and Marcus just kind of, they like to talk crap to each other quite a bit. And watching Marcus roll around with those guys, and I think we were doing a camp up in Okoboji, and they were all, Marcus was whooping like 2 or 3 of them at a time. So those are fun times, you know.
Thank you so much, Coach.